I want to thank you for joining us today on what will be a brief press conference, but an opportunity to notify the public of a significant public health concern. Last evening, DHEC was notified of a virus-positive bird taken from near Palmetto Health Baptist Hospital at Sumter and Hampton Streets. It tested positive for the West Nile Virus, an arthropod-borne virus most commonly spread by infected mosquitoes. As many of us know, West Nile virus can cause febrile illness, encephalitis, or meningitis. And it was important to us to immediately make the public aware of this challenge. Within hours of notification, Richland County, communicating with the City of Columbia, sprung into action and began spraying in the City of Columbia. Tonight, that spraying will continue to an area within 1 mile of where the affected bird was found, and tomorrow night it will expand to 2 miles. It's important that we have this press conference to raise not only the level of awareness, but also the gravity of the matter, and also how citizens can be involved in working to protect ourselves from mosquitoes. We want to encourage all of our citizens and visitors alike to apply insect repellent containing DEET, picaridin, oil of lemon, eucalyptus, or IR 3535. Repellents, of course, help keep mosquitoes from biting. We want to encourage all of us to wear clothing that reduces the risk of skin exposure. Wear long sleeves and long pants if you're going to be outside for an extended period of time. We need to reduce our exposure to mosquitoes. They are most common at night and during the early morning hours. Some species bite during the day, especially in wooded or other shaded areas. Avoid exposure during these times and in these areas. We need to make sure that our doors and windows have tight-fitting screens to keep mosquitoes out. And we need all of us to work diligently to eliminate all sources of standing water on your property, including flower pots, gutters, buckets, pool covers, bird baths, old car tires, and pet bowls. This is a significant issue of public health. While we've had some history in the past of humans infected by West Nile with the significant heat and significant wet weather events, we want to make sure that all citizens are empowered with the information to keep themselves and their families safe from West Nile virus. So be aware of the extensive spraying over the next 48 hours, and also be aware of all the different things. We'll make sure these are posted on the city and county websites as well. But all of our community leaders who took the time to be present here today, and the respective news organizations represented here, we need your help in making sure we get out as much information as possible, as often as possible. So help us push this out. Thank you for being here. One bird so far, Jack, found at Sumter and Hampton Streets. You know, I don't know, Chris. I don't know, and certainly if someone has those very specifics, I would feel free to let them answer that question. It was just important to us to act very quickly. So to spring into action and make sure we immediately started spraying, and then making sure we got the information out to the public as immediately as possible. The state has some very talented epidemiologists, and I'm sure that as we continue talking, we'll be able to share even more detailed information from the respective sources, primarily DHEC. But we just want you to know that the city and the county and our state officials spoke to State Representative James Smith and the sheriff and Sheriff Lott and others. We're all going to be working together to make sure that we work hard to keep the community safe. Does Mr. Hatcher or someone speak about the spray? I think the city manager speak about the spray. But the spraying last night occurred between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. So obviously it's being deployed at a time where it's least likely that we'll have people on the streets, but I think it would be prudent for any and all of us, certainly within the 1 mile, 2 mile area of Sumter and Hampton, to be indoors and if possible, over the next 2 nights. City Manager?
As we're having the press conference, there's probably a release coming out now or be right thereafter that's a release from DHEC. So a lot of your more specific questions about their protocols and how they went about deciding where the initial spray areas would be will be included in that. But it's a joint press release with the county and the city officials. And I will let David Hatcher, who works directly with Tammy Brewer at Richland County Vector Control, through an intergovernmental agreement that we have. So municipalities work through the county when there is the need for mosquito spraying. And what I did this morning by contacting Mr. Seals, Gerald Seals, County Administrator, was to ask for that area to be expanded because out of an abundance of precaution, we wanted to make sure that the spray area was just not in that initial 1 mile radius from where the bird was found, but an additional mile out. So a 2 mile radius, which I'll let David and Tammy and others speak to the technicalities of where birds fly, but we think that totally covers it from the distance that a bird would normally travel. David?
Hello. The bird, I don't know the details of how the bird was found, but generally if you find a dead bird, anytime you find a dead bird, you want to report it to DHEC and have them check it out. And I think that's what happened in this case, and obviously they checked it out and came back positive with the West Nile virus, which is why we're being proactive and trying to stay on top of the situation. But as Ms. Wilson mentioned, when a bird gets bit by a mosquito with West Nile, their fly range is about 2 miles, so that's why we do the 2 mile radius to make sure we're covering everything. Generally, they do the spraying at nighttime between like 1 and 4, 1 and 5 in the morning. So it's intentional that everybody's in bed and it's gonna be minimal impact on people. I believe it generally, I can't answer for the county, but I know it generally when something like this happens, we do have to respond to make sure, we're trying to combat the issue before it becomes a bigger issue. So,
specifically about the designated areas, 1 mile, 2 mile radius.
Okay. I have some maps here. As Mayor Benjamin said, the bird was found at the corner of Sumter and Hampton Street. So 1 mile radius and 2 mile radius from that. It looks like the 2 miles goes out as far as kind of Shandon in the east and up in covers the Earlwood, Elmwood Park area, up in kind of the North Columbia area. As far as the map will be with the press release for more specific areas where we're spraying. We started spraying last night down in the lower bottom right quadrant, which is the Shandon area and the 5 Points area. We started that last night because that is the based on the information we've had in previous years. That's the kind of where we suspect the bird came from. We are actively setting traps right now as we speak around the city and in the target area, and we will be capturing the mosquitoes and we'll be giving them to DHEC for further monitoring and seeing if there's a continued problem.
Okay, and I'm Joyce Dickerson, representative from Richland County, and when I got the new information last night, we began to proactively work together with the city, with Vector, to make sure that the area was sprayed. And We will continue to do that. We are asking that you all be very proactive in this measure. This is very serious. Because of that, make sure that you follow all of the outlines that the mayor has explained to you earlier. Wear long sleeves, make sure you disband any water that may be standing, tires, water pots, flower pots. Just make sure that you are very protected. We're trying to be very proactive in this and making sure that we protect the citizens of Richland County, and that is one of the reasons why we want to make the public aware very early so that you can, start the protective measures. Thank you.
And if you all have no more questions, we'll keep on moving. We made the point to, of course, let our neighborhood presence and our hospitality district leaders aware of this as well, and thank you all for being here today as well.